Welcome, everybody. I am doing a really exciting show today. We get the word out. I'm Sarah Blessing, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the music now because I'm going to read this long intro to show you exactly what is going to happen today on this episode. It is a big one. Today, we're talking about something close to home: transparency, accountability, and the cost of silence in local government. 20 minutes south of me in New Albany, Indiana, this city has been tied up in controversy over the Providence Mill Dam, the same dam where a 14-year-old boy tragically drowned last year. Since then, lawsuits have piled up, deadlines have been missed, and the city council has been pushing for answers about how much taxpayer money has gone into fighting these legal battles. Mayor Jeff Gahan, who is now in his fourth term, has done a lot of things people appreciate: new parks, development, revitalization. But right now, many residents, including groups like Hoosier Action, are asking a simple question: where is the money going? And why isn't the city being more transparent about it? We're going to unpack that today with my amazing guest, Cisa Kubley from Hoosier Action. Not as an attack, but as a conversation about what good local leadership really looks like. Because being friends with city leaders or agreeing with them most of the time doesn't mean we shouldn't expect better communication and accountability when it matters most. This is about making our communities stronger by asking fair questions and expecting fair answers. So let's dig in. Cisa, thank you so much for being with us. Can you introduce yourself today to
Yeah.
everybody?
Thanks so much for having me, Sarah. My name is Cisa, and I am the transparency chapter lead with Hoosier Action. So we are focused in my chapter specifically on increased transparency and accountability with our municipal level government. That's where we as individual citizens are going to have the most power, and our whole voting system is place-based. It's based around where we live. So these are the things we can be most involved in. Before coming to Hoosier Action, I was a small business owner downtown for 16 years. And the last 9 of those was like 2 doors down from City Hall. And so I dealt with the city a lot. I dealt with the construction of the new City Hall and the Main Street beautification project and all of these things. And so I really dealt firsthand with what happens when our administration won't communicate with people. They won't, be honest. They won't be upfront with us, but they won't answer direct questions. And, I dealt with the impacts of that on my business. And for other reasons, I decided to step away from my business about a year ago. But, I really held on to, just because I'm not going to deal with those things anymore doesn't mean that this fight is done. And so after I gave myself some time to recover from burnout, things like that, because the world is a big scary place right now and there's a lot going on. I got to really lean into this. I don't ever want any other business owner or any other citizen in my community to ever experience the things that I did, because it's not necessary. We could be a model community for cities our size across the country of what more transparent and cooperative governments could be. And instead we're sitting here fighting over a very basic, this is right versus wrong issue, with the city refusing to disclose these numbers about the dam.
So this is a complex issue, and I'm going to sum it up for you all right now. First off, I am friends with some of the New Albany city councilors. I know the mayor. I've met him a few times. I'm not friends with him, but I know Jeff Gahan. I also like a lot of what has been happening with New Albany over the last few years. Since I was a kid, New Albany was a very dead place, only a few businesses open, and you look at it now and it's a really beautiful place. So there's a lot of good happening. So this is not an attack episode. This is a fact-based episode. And we actually have, since these are friends of mine, I've actually asked for comments. I have comments from some of the city councilor, even the president, Adam Dickey, and I will read those to you throughout the show. But there is an issue here. So how do me, Sarah Blessing, I am a Democrat and I run for state house. How do I also do this network, Project Next Media, where I'm calling for unity and accountability and transparency and the work of everybody to work together to make our government better? How do I do that in a way that is fair? And you talked to me on the phone about this yesterday and you already got it. So I don't know how I got so lucky that I met you yesterday and we can do the show so quickly, but it is a complex issue. And so what is happening is there is a dam. It's called the Providence Mill Dam.
Providence Mill
Um,
Dam, it's also sometimes referred to as the Glen Mill Park Dam. Essentially, it is the dam that is directly under like the overpass on Silver Street as you're going from New Albany to
it's close to
Clarksville and Brown
Providence
Station
High
Way.
School.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And this is controlled by New Albany, the city.
We
Or
don't know.
maybe we
We
don't
don't
know.
know.
I
Yeah,
see. So
so that actually is like one of the very first disagreements that the mayor had about the project. Because
it
from
does
the
seem
very
far away from New Albany, the city. It seems a
well,
little bit out.
so what we've been able to understand is there are questions about who actually owns the dam and therefore
Wow.
who is responsible for its maintenance and upkeep.
Okay.
The city has not really done anything with it in my term in living in New Albany. I've been here close to 20 years at this point. Until this dam fight started, it's like no one cared about the dam until Origin Park and River Heritage, which is a nonprofit based in Clark County, wanted to open this big park. And as part of that, as to kind of restore the natural waterway and also to remove this safety issue, because low-head dams have for decades been known as being really unsafe structures. And so they're being removed nationwide. These are being pulled
Okay.
out
I didn't know
because
that.
they're not
So
safe. Yes.
I just growing up my whole life, I'm 44, I've crossed this bridge a lot and seen it. I've seen
Mhm.
it be flooded. I've seen it not look particularly safe. I've noticed, oh, we can't go this way because it's flooded right now. And
Right.
so I did not know what you just said, that other dams similar to this model are being removed and nature is running its course. It's being more natural. So
Yes.
that has been happening across the country, but it is not happening in New Albany. And last year, a 14-year-old drowned and died.
Correct. And it is
And
directly because of the safety concerns with the Lowhead Dam that that was able to happen. Just to catch everybody up so everybody's on the same page with this, a Lowhead Dam is just, it's very low in the water line. The water kind of comes across the top and you would think it would just flow right out. But what happens because of just physics in the way that these dams are put in, the water comes off the top and creates this hydraulic roller effect. So if something falls off the top of the dam, it gets stuck in that roller. And that's what happened. And so he just got stuck in the water. He wasn't able to get out. And that is not a new discovery, that is what happens with low-head dams. These have been being removed everywhere because of this issue. Origin Park had applied for and received the permits to remove that at least a year prior to the child dying.
okay.
And they had the correct permits from the Army Corps of Engineers and from DNR to remove that. And Mayor Gahan got this caught up in these lawsuits to say, no, we can't do this. We have to protect this. And then created more lawsuits when he went in and illegally dumped rocks to do emergency repair after the death had already occurred.
Okay.
And
it
so
sounds
that's
like
kind of where it comes from. They were already fighting about it before this happened.
Okay. So there was fighting over who controlled it, who was supposed to be taking care of it. So
Yes.
that had not been resolved in time.
Correct. My understanding is the original legal claim that Mayor Gahan brought forward was that Origin Park could not have, or they didn't, they weren't eligible essentially for the permit because they didn't own the dam property. But what we're running into with, I guess, this and I think the Blackstone Mill Dam situation, which is a county issue, is a little bit similar of like who actually owns the dam. And there's kind of question about that because the dam.
And it's still not been resolved.
No, but
So
I think, well, it hasn't been resolved. But the mayor has lost multiple court cases at this point where the court has said. So it
seems like the New Albany should be taking accountability. Is that what you're saying? It looks like the city should be taking it.
What really comes down to is the city keeps losing these lawsuits and is having, they've sent it up through the Court of Appeals. There's now a threat. He wants to escalate it to the Indiana Supreme Court, but he has lost every court case so far that has been brought of does the permit stand? Are they allowed to remove this dam or not? And the courts have shot that down. They said, New Albany, you don't have a leg to stand on. This is not, you don't get a say in this.
So could the city have taken the dam down
If they had applied for the proper permits, I think they could have, but it's not a matter of could they have or couldn't they have, because Gahan's whole argument is that there's some historical significance to this dam and it shouldn't be taken out at all. But the reason it's called Glen Mill Park Dam was back in the early 20th century, so in like the 19 teens, Glen Mill Park was an amusement park that was down there, and the dam was put in to create like a little fishing area, a little swimming area, kind of as part of that. That park was wiped out during the flood in 37. Nothing has been going on down there since then. The dam has not been maintained. There's really nothing happening at all. And until this dam lawsuit came about, no one in the area really even seemed to like have heard of Glen Mill Park or knew about the dam or what its, origins might have been. So the mayor's whole claim that this has historical significance, it has to be protected at all costs, just don't make sense. What's the historic significance there?
I see this all the time, and it's human beings and how we act if we don't catch ourselves. I see this so much in politicians. When politicians make a mistake, they're so worried about the other side, the Republicans or the Democrat side, using it to hurt them, that they try to cover up the mistake and hide it instead of admitting, whoops, I messed up. I'm going to fix it. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And I just want to acknowledge human beings, we mess up. I mess up every day.
Totally.
I'm not a perfect person. But where I get frustrated is when politicians who we've elected to represent us, didn't catch something. They didn't know this was going to happen to this boy. And they didn't know, even though it sounds like there were some warning signs that this isn't safe. People make mistakes. I just think we need to fix the mistakes. The mistakes. So right now, here's what I'm summarizing from what you're telling me. Multiple legal cases that the mayor has undergone, refusing to remove this dam, refusing to take accountability for it being New Albany control.
If it is,
and now it has cost the taxpayers so much money in lawsuits. And your issue today, the reason we're speaking, is because we don't even know how much money taxpayers have lost from these multiple lawsuits. Is that what the problem? And now we're getting a budget. I believe it's on Thursday. There's a meeting by the New Albany City Council to pass the 2026 budget, but the budget is withholding the information about how much money these lawsuits have cost taxpayer dollars. Is that correct?
It's pretty close. Yeah. It's not even that the city council is withholding this information.
Okay.
They don't have the information.
So none of the city council members know how much money these lawsuits have spent of the taxpayer dollars, and they're supposed to oversee the money of the city.
They're the fiscal body. So they are the people that we elect to be ethical stewards of our taxpayer dollars that we need to provide the community the things that we need.
So I ran for county council. I ran for county council in Harrison County in 22. I lost. It's 100% Republican. It's very super majority. It's very hard to get a Democrat in Harrison County right now. I learned a lot about the job, and I cannot imagine what these city council members are feeling, the frustration, because they're getting a lot of heat, especially right now, from trying to pass this budget, and they don't even know the numbers. So I think the best way to fix this right now is for the mayor's office and the staff to release the numbers to the council, right?
I mean, that's got to be step one.
Step one, release it to the council. They should know. They're passing stuff. They're voting on things, and they don't have all the information. That seems to be hurting the community. Again, trying to cover up the mistake. I got a really good comment here that says, yeah, the cover up gives the mistake power. That's what's happened here. This cover up is hurting New Albany. It's hurting the community tremendously.
And the argument that we've gotten so far.
I've lost it. Say that again.
And refusing to acknowledge the mistake is actually like an additional lawsuit that's now happened.
Right. So we've got an extra lawsuit now because they won't release the numbers, the amount.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. So I understand why
Well, no, we've
the
got
mayor's trying to
an
cover up
extra,
the
no, we've got an
cover-up.
extra lawsuit because of the,
Because of the what?
because of the
I'm
rocks. So
oh,
the
okay.
lawsuit is not about not disclosing the money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the additional lawsuit that came is because after AJ died on Memorial Day, I think it was year before last.
Yeah, in 24.
After he died, yeah, the mayor came in and said, "Oh, this is totally unsafe. We're going to perform emergency maintenance so that this can never happen again." So he, without permits, without permission, spent more taxpayer dollars to have an access road cut down there and a bunch of just loose rocks and rubble dumped in front of the dam, essentially to fill in the roller area. So like technically it fixes it, but now the Army Corps of Engineers has brought an additional lawsuit saying, whoa, you did not have the permitting to do that. So not only was that action illegal, but also they're now in trouble because they have a court order saying, yes, you have to submit a plan to remove the rocks, to restore the area to the way it was. And the city is continuing to refuse to do that. So that's kind of where the additional lawsuit comes in. And what we're dealing with the city council is they had previously, all just a few weeks ago, unanimously voted that like this is not acceptable. The mayor has to disclose these numbers. And they had unanimously voted to ask for an executive session because some of the like the nuance of like what's been cited as the reason that they won't disclose the numbers to the council is, well, because of ongoing litigation. It's like, okay,
Right.
well, we can.
That's what I heard from Adam Dickey.
Right. So it's like, oh, well, we can.
We can't do it because there's lawsuits.
Correct.
Is that true?
No, I don't think that's true at all, because in this unanimous vote where everybody on the council, this was bipartisan, the entire 9-member council voted to say, we understand that there could be, confidentiality issues because of the ongoing lawsuit. We want an executive session. We are happy to all sign non-disclosure agreements so that the mayor's office can give us the numbers and we can all agree on what can and can't be released publicly. Because like as Hoosier Action, as an individual community member, I want to see those numbers released to the public. It is our money. And in a really scary time where we are having funding cut from our community at the state and national level, we need every dollar that our community has to be going towards the things our community members need. We're hearing from local food pantries that need has doubled. Like they're seeing double the demand on people needing, food. And we've got hundreds long waiting list for affordable housing and accessible housing. And instead of having any money available for things like that are like basic human needs, instead we're quibbling over whether or not this Lowhead Dam should be saved, and like how we don't even know how much money is going to be spent on that fight. But the council unanimously voted to say, yeah, we have to have those numbers. It's really important before we can pass a budget, because
well, how come that's not happening now? So the council voted unanimously.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said, we want to see these numbers.
Correct.
We'll have a special session. We'll sign non-disclosure agreements so we can see the numbers. Why didn't that happen?
Well, the mayor refused to comply with that. And so at the last city council meeting, which was last week on Monday, I believe, the city council had the third reading for the 2026 general fund budget, which is what they had said, we can't possibly, if we don't have all the information, we can't pass a budget. That's not ethical, that we can't do that. And even though we had this previous unanimous vote saying we need to have this executive session, that has not happened. Multiple council members on both sides of the political spectrum had said, we didn't get the session. We still haven't been given any information. And then 5 out of the 4 members went ahead and voted to approve the budget anyway.
And has that been set? Is that set in stone, or is there a chance to turn that down?
I believe that that's just done, because that was the third reading. So I think that's kind of like the final time they vote on it.
So what's going to happen So I was made aware of this issue because I got sent an email of the picture that Hoosier Action made
Mm-hmm.
encouraging the 5 council members that voted to approve this budget without seeing how much money has
Mm-hmm.
been spent on all these lawsuits, encouraging them to take a stand. So what
Yes.
is going to happen at this meeting on Thursday? What would be the best outcome? What do we want to have happen that would make it so we could see the numbers and clean this mess up?
Yeah. So the flyers that we distributed, we have been, going door to door and talking to people specifically in the districts of the 5 councilmen who voted in favor of this budget. And we also did some flyering down at Harvest Homecoming to just let people know this is what's happening. It's really important. And it had the contact information of those 5 council members on the back. And so we were encouraging people, if this is one of your council people, contact them, let them know that you don't think it's okay that they're going to pass this budget, that they don't have this information, and also encouraging people to come to the city council meeting to make those statements in person, because we need our council to understand, like, we weren't angry with them about, like, them not having the numbers. We understand they're also angry about not having the numbers. The city has ignored public records requests from media, individual community members, from council members. They have ignored records requests for this
Wow.
information. And
Wow.
like the whole reason we have that process of you can request public records is because transparency is like a key part of how democracy functions. And so we've talked to the city council, we've met with them all individually. We invited them to come participate in a budget talk that we did for the community, talking about this is not a right versus left. This is not Democrats versus Republicans. This is about right versus wrong.
Right.
And what is happening right now is wrong. And
I want to
so
I want to acknowledge that the city council, I think, is doing a really good job, and it's kind of rare because it's bipartisan. There's Republicans and Democrats that are voting together on things. They seem to work well together. 4 of the council members I know and friends with. So I want to acknowledge we're pretty lucky, the people that live in New Albany, to have a council that is bipartisan. It's purple. They care about the citizens and they seem to try to put them first. The problem is when the council is asking for things from the mayor is not transparent and is going
yes,
against, like, checks and balances, right? If the
exactly.
council asked for things, shouldn't the mayor give them? Isn't that like don't we have like
how it's
rules on
supposed
that?
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. And so our big issue with the council, and the reason that we are pushing them specifically so hard right now on this issue, is not that they haven't had the numbers before. It's specifically that they have asked for the numbers and asked for the numbers. And then they had this unanimous vote saying, yes, we agree, we need to have those numbers before we can pass a budget. And we have to have that transparency. And then 5 of the 4 just absolutely lacked the conviction when it came to that final budget vote to say, okay, no, we're not going to pass this budget. We are going to hold this mayor accountable. They said, well, because of these, whatever reasons, we don't want to cause other unforeseen consequences by, trying to adjust this budget or not passing it right now. So we'll go ahead and pass it, even though we don't have that information. Now,
So
the 4 council members, I do want to specify, the 4 council members that voted against passing this budget because they didn't have the numbers completely split evenly. We had 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans saying, no, this is not okay. We said we needed those numbers first, and we are standing by that.
Yes.
And we applaud them for that, because being in public office is really hard.
Yes.
It's a lot of work. What
Yes.
our issue is with these 5 members of the council who decided to go ahead and pass it is, if the concern was, there could be unforeseen consequences if maybe we zero out a line item, because there were amendments proposed to try and find some kind of compromise to say maybe we don't pass all the budget. Could we hold this part back and as leverage to try and get this information from the mayor's office. But then the other 5 said, oh, actually, no, we don't really have the conviction to do that. And so the absolutely foreseen consequences of that is you have just abdicated your power as an independently elected political body, because our council is not appointed by the mayor. They do not report to the mayor. They work alongside him. They are independently elected, and they report to the constituents. They report to us, their taxpayers, who are giving them the money to run the city.
Time and time again, and I know you do too, the political pressure that your party, that the people above you put on you to do what they want, even though it's not the right decision. I think some of those members, since I've talked to them and I'm friends with them, I honestly think they are believing things that might not be accurate because the mayor or the people that want to vote and want this to pass quietly are telling them things that aren't necessarily true. I think that could be happening because I see it all the time. When I talk to people that are in power, the reasons they voted for a thing that ends up hurting the community is things that are not always true. And I think that might be part of the problem here because, again, I know some of these council members and they are smart, good people. Yeah. So I want to let everybody know yesterday, once I met with you and we figured out when we were doing a show, I contacted the mayor's office. I called the communications director and left a voicemail giving my email and my cell, saying that we were doing the show, the time of the show, inviting them to come on the show and comment live, and that we would put their comments up to explain their side. I also emailed the team. I emailed Mayor Gahan and his team and explained what's going on. I checked 30 seconds before I started the show. Nobody emailed me back. Nobody called. Nobody texted. So one of our issues that we're talking about, the main one, is lack of transparency. It's hard to get a hold of the mayor's office. I know I didn't give him a lot of time, but I would have appreciated just a simple no comment. Just a no comment would have been great instead of just ignoring. And this is not the first time that I have heard this about the mayor, about it being very hard to get a response from the mayor and his team. Lack of transparency has been a problem for a while, not just on this dam issue. And I just wanted to highlight that. And I imagine the council is frustrated with it. But and I have two council members that I'm going to read statements from now, and they're on differing sides. So I've got one from Adam Dickey, he is the president of the New Albany City Council. He is a Democrat. He is chair of the Floyd County Democratic Party, and he is District 9 chair, which is 18 counties in southern Indiana. So he is quite high up in the Indiana Democratic Party. He's one of those rare people that gets to vote for Indiana Democrat chair and stuff like that. So he has quite a bit of power. I have his cell number. I texted him. He did get back with me, even though he is very busy. So I would like to thank him for doing that. And I'm going to read what he wrote. And he did vote to pass the budget without the numbers. So I'm going to read this as what he texted me. From my standpoint on the budget, our citizens expect us to provide for public safety, fire protection, street maintenance, code enforcement, parks, and animal control, among other services. This budget included funds for new communication equipment for emergency responders, additional street paving and sidewalk repair, park enhancements, and meets our obligation to our unions under the terms of the new contracts. While I believe all council members want the detailed information, I don't see it responsible to derail those efforts and hold public service workers hostage. I also believe there would have been unintended consequences to not fund our departments, consequences that included compounding the situation and current costs. At the end of the day, the mayor, as chief executive, is responsible for the management of the city's legal department and the advancement of any legal case or issue. The mayor's response letter noted that there is mediation scheduled in early November, and I hope that brings a conclusion to the case. I hope that helps your understanding. And he said, sorry, I'm not more available this week. I did invite him to be on the show today, but he did not have time. Again, I only gave him a day's notice. Do you have any comments about his statement?
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand, obviously, that there are a lot of things going on in the general fund with the budget. It's not just the legal fees. And for us, it's not just about the legal fees at this point. It's actually more, and like the individual dollar amount of what's being spent, because it's being spent. We can't stop that. The legal actions are happening. What we have a real concern about is that the foreseen consequences of the council having said, yes, we have to have this information first, and then half of them just passing the budget anyway, is you've just told the mayor and the community that when push comes to shove, you'll just roll over and show them your belly. Like
Right.
that's you're not acting as an independent political body. You're acting like you're scared of the mayor, and you're showing all of us and the mayor that. So what we're saying is you are an independent political body. You were elected by us as checks and balances against the administration so that we can have a functioning democracy. And it is crucial for you to stand up. And when you have said, yes, we want to hold the mayor accountable, he has to provide us these numbers, we want you to actually do that.
So
And
you're saying if you were on the council, you would hold out and say, no, you give us the numbers and we can do this in the legal way where just the council members have the numbers.
sure, if that's the only way they can do it,
If that's the
great,
only way
do
the
that.
mayor's going to do it, or legally, if that's the only legal way to do it, then do that, then pass the budget. And if they don't pass the budget, it's the mayor's fault. Right
Yes, because
now,
he won't give them the information. But right now
yes.
they're saying, oh, no, it's okay. We'll go ahead and pass the budget because of all these other things. And one of the amendments put forward by Councilman Scott Blair, who has been very vocal about this from the get-go, and that Councilman Stephanie Griffith had supported him on, was an amendment saying, okay, if we need to pass the budget because we need the city to function, we don't need a local government shutdown in addition to the federal government shutdown, then okay, we don't even know what like budget line items or what kind of pots of money the money for these legal fights is coming out of. That's another thing they've asked for, not gotten. And so what Scott had put forward was, we can assume that it's coming out of the city attorney's budget, obviously, because he's got to be consulting on that. And so how about we pull out just the city attorney's line item on the budget, which I think is about 250,000, which we can estimate that a lot more than that has been spent on these legal fights. But let's pull that out and vote on that one separately. We can pass the rest of the budget that everyone's in agreement on, but at least then we can hold back that one. And that's not saying we're not funding the city attorney's office, because obviously there are multiple attorneys that work in that office. There are multiple staff who do, rely on their payroll and things like that. But what that would force is that every time the city attorney's office needed to spend money, they would have to come before the council and request appropriations for that individual expense. And they'd say, we're happy to approve those, case by case as they come, but this is a bargaining chip we can use.
Yes.
So that
And
the
you're
mayor
saying
understands
they gave up their bargaining chip.
Right. And rather than doing that, because I think it was the same split. We had the same four council people. It was Phipps, Goman, Blair, and Griffith, who all said, no, I won't pass the budget, but yes, I would vote for this amendment that would allow us to at least have some bargaining chip to keep, keep that pressure on. And we had the other five, who were Jenny Collier, Adam Dickey, Chris Fitzgerald, Elaine Murphy, and Don Unruh, who all said, nope, we don't, there might be unforeseen consequences of doing that.
And they could have been told by the mayor unforeseen, like, fears. Because I see that happening in the Palmyra Town Council where I live. Like fake fears that probably won't happen. When maybe they could happen, but they probably won't, being pushed on the council members to make them vote a certain way. And I believe that could have been, in my opinion,
it could have
done commonly.
Yeah.
Because I do, again, since I know three of those people that you named out of the five I'm friends with, I do think they were doing what they legally thought was best.
Sure.
But
our argument there, though,
another one, and I'm going to read you Louise's statement here, who voted no. On the other hand, there were people on the council that recognize what you're saying. So I feel bad for the council, honestly. And I think you're right. I think they gave up their power, the little tiny power that they had in this instance. They gave it up and let the mayor be silent on this issue, let his mistake grow. So it just keeps costing taxpayer dollars. It keeps hurting the community more and more when, like you're saying, a lot of people are hungry. There's unhoused. There are problems in our community right now. And the money could be better spent. We're using more money to cover up this mistake that becomes another mistake that becomes another mistake. When are we going to stop paying for the cover up? And when are we going to actually solve the problem of the dam?
Yeah.
right?
And I would like to say so I was at the city council meeting last week when
Interesting.
when they went ahead and they voted to pass the budget. And the 4 councilmen who voted against that were very, very vocal about exactly why they were doing that. And in what I believe is the first response anybody's gotten from the mayor about this, he did, through other people in his administration, hand down a letter that they asked the city clerk to read into the record. And in that, maybe it was like a 2-page letter, and maybe 1 or 2 sentences like responded to the request for the information by basically saying, well, there's ongoing legal stuff, so we're still not going to give you that. And then the rest of his letter is all about, oh, well, but this is all just normal legal funds. We've not overspent a single budget. And the argument to that is, okay, great. So you're not overspending a budget, but what budgets are you pulling money out of to pay for this fight that basically comes down to, I guess, ego that could be going towards working on things the community needs, like housing, like food stability, like there are so many things that our community needs. And
I do think ego is a huge problem here. I think that is
it's
the
gotta
problem.
be.
The mayor's ego doesn't want to admit a mistake, and it is hurting the community.
Yeah.
And
this is
we
not
all
like we
make
don't
mistakes,
have.
but we have
Yeah.
got to put our egos aside here and do what's best for the community.
Right.
And then it's like we're supporting the ego. We're supporting the other side is going to shine a light. The Republicans are going to shine a light and make him look bad. It's like, who cares? Do the right thing.
Right.
Do the
And
right thing.
that's something that's super, super important for me personally. And that's why I work with Hoosier Action, because like as an organization in our community, we are completely nonpartisan. We are happy to work with anybody.
Anyone.
We would be happy to
Me
work
too.
with the mayor. We have requested meetings with the mayor. We have never been able to meet with us or meet with him. He refuses to meet with us.
So this is new to me because I'm new to politics, and I originally thought everything was great in New Albany. When I met Tony Hostetler, who also works for Hoosier Action, he let me know, oh, New Albany it's very hard to get communication with them, and I was really surprised. But
it can be nearly
since
impossible.
then, I've heard many stories similar to Tony's, so now I'm not as surprised. But when I first heard it, me, a Democrat, thinking Democrats in charge are doing a good job. No, we don't base it on whether they have a D or R in their name. And if that matches up to how we vote, it's an individual case by case basis. Is this person serving their community? And I am willing to say, if you're serving your community, you're going to make mistakes.
And that's fine.
Because we are human beings.
Exactly. But you have to acknowledge when those happen, and you have to accept the ramifications for that.
And also you can't see into the future.
Right.
I mean, I'm honestly thinking if Mayor Gahan would have seen that this would have happened, maybe he would have sought the right permits and taken the dam down before this tragic death happened. I'm going to just assume that he would have done that. I think most people would have. We can't predict the future, but we can do the right thing. And I think that he probably thought he was going to win the lawsuits and it was going to go away. And it's just, he keeps losing everyone. So the problem is just magnifying it. How long are we going to let this man's ego hurt New Albany? That's what.
Right. Yeah. And I think, earlier you'd asked me like, what, is Hoosier Action or as a community, like, what do we want to see from the council now that this, has passed, and why are we going to the city council meeting this Thursday?
Right.
And it's because we want to say, I understand that you could be afraid of unforeseen consequences if we, pull something out of the budget or not something else. What we would have wanted to see, instead of 5 of the 4 members passing the budget without the information that they insisted was really important and they needed to have, instead of them backing down on that, if they didn't like the amendment put forward by Mr. Blair, they could have said, okay, well, we're concerned about that because what about unforeseen consequences? They could have voted to not pass the budget that night, given themselves time to look at all the options, say, okay, if we do that, what could the potential consequences been there? And then are there ways for us to work around that? They could have just voted, no, we're not going to pass the budget tonight because we still need more information. We need time to work through this. And instead, 5 of the 4 said, nah, it's okay. We'll just go ahead and pass it because we're scared. Because that's what that says to me is they're scared of repercussions. They are scared of the mayor. And what we want the council to do is acknowledge to themselves, to the community, to the mayor, they are an independent elected body. They do not report to the mayor. They work alongside the mayor. We don't care what party they're in.
Yeah,
We
they
don't care
shouldn't
where they
work.
line
They
up.
don't work
This,
under the mayor. They work
no.
for the city.
Yeah, they work for the citizens. We pay tax dollars, and then we elect these officials to be good, ethical stewards of those monies so that our community has the services that we need. And we are asking them to step into that power. Acknowledge that you are 9 independent, intelligent people. You can say, I'm not going to make a decision tonight because I don't have enough information. And if the mayor refuses to give the information, sit down together, do your own research, figure out a way to not pass the whole budget, to have some bargaining chips, to say, we're not going to just blanket pass this because we are going to hold you accountable. It is important for us to have this information. It is important for the public to know where their tax dollars are going. And yeah,
Right.
it's, once they pass the budget, it can just be spent, as long as it's in the correct category, it can be spent on, whatever the mayor deems appropriate within that budget. But how many things are not being funded because he's funneling money that could be spent on a variety of things, including the fact that the child who died, his family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the mayor and the city and others. How much of the legal funds that could be going towards resolving that, because that is a terrible thing that happened to a member of our community, not just a child, but like members of our community are still suffering because of that. And instead of dealing with that, we are still fighting over should the dam be there or should the dam not be there.
And this should have been, we're saying we should have figured that out years ago.
Yeah. And the council has their opportunity right now.
And I understand people making mistakes about it. I totally get that. What I don't understand is that we're still not resolving it. And we're shoving it under the rug, hoping people don't notice, and it's making the problem worse and it's hurting the community. So,
and it's wrong.
The answer
that's the bottom line. It's just
finally do the right thing. And so that's why we're having this show today, because the community needs to know. So everybody can do their part. You can listen to this show. You can sum it up. What's going on if you live in New Albany or you live around here and you meet someone from New Albany, summarize this issue. And then we put pressure on the city government to do the right thing. We also back up and support our city council members that are trying to hold the governor accountable, because it is very hard to hold people accountable for their actions when they seem like they're above you in positions of power. Exactly. It is a really bad problem in America right now that's hurting our country tremendously.
Yeah, it's hurting all of us.
I'm doing a show next week with Jesse Brown. He is an Indianapolis city councilor, and he's one of my favorite, he's my favorite politician that I'm actually friends with that has some power. And we're doing a show on how do we call out the bullies? How do we shine a light on the bullies? Mm-hmm. How do we stand up to them? And how do we stop them?
Looking forward to that show.
And it's specifically about Greg Taylor, who is a Democrat. He's a Indy Senate. He's in the Indy Senate, Indiana Senate, and he has had multiple sexual assault allegations, and the Indiana Democratic Party has been silent on it. And Jesse actually was, I don't know what the right words, but he actually had a run-in with him. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? So we're going to talk all about that and just break it down. How do we stand up to people who seem to be in positions of power higher than us when our systems are letting us down? The systems set up in place that are supposed to be saying, hey, this isn't appropriate, we need to take certain actions, and they're not doing that. So yeah, that'll be next week. I'm really excited. It matches up to this one. I encourage the New Albany city councilors and anybody in positions of power that have people above them trying to get them to do things that aren't right to watch, because we are going to give you tips, because it is hard. It's not like it is an easy thing to stand up to a bully. It is hard. Yeah. Okay, I want to read Louise Goman's
Yes, I want to hear Louise's statement.
So Louise is on the New Albany City Council. I would say she's my closest friend out of all of them. I love her dearly. I'm not a super, super close friend, but I know her enough to just love her tremendously. So this is Louise. I asked her for a statement yesterday, and she emailed it to me, and I would like to thank her for doing that. So she voted no. and she is a Democrat. Okay. When I ran for office, my platform was that I wanted to represent all of the people in my district and in the city. That includes those who disagree with me. The other issue I ran on was removal of the Providence Mill Dam. When A.J. Edwards drowned last year, in my opinion, that should have been the end of the story. The dam should have come down immediately. Instead, the mayor became more dug in. The city has lost case after case in court, and the cost has skyrocketed. At least that's what we must presume, since we cannot get any financial information. I understand that the mayor has discretion to use the budget as he sees fit, and I also know that he is responsible for our city employees, including police and firefighters, and he's done a good job. But when he deliberately refuses to engage with the council while continuing to throw good money after bad, there must be some accountability. My vote against the budget was not a vote against our city employees. If those members of the council who did not stand up had followed through with our requests for information, the budget would have gotten passed, just at a later date. Instead, they gave into pressure, and I'm very disappointed. The budget has passed, but this issue is not going away. The questions and clamors will continue to grow. There is mediation to take place in November, and I hope if the mediator determines that enough is enough and the dam must come down, the mayor will do the right thing and take the dam down. I'll believe it when I see it. And Louise Goman, thank you so much for that statement. It was very honest, and it really reflects what you have been saying.
Yeah.
It reflects.
And we have loved working with Louise. I had not met her prior to my work with Hoosier Action. I met her as part of this because we do want to work with any city official, any other organization that wants what's best for our community. We don't have to agree on everything. That's totally fine. We're not going to, but we can be values aligned. And when there is tension, because there will always be, we can sit in that tension together, and that could be productive. We can disagree, and we can still stay at the table and figure out a way to make what's right for our community happen without letting one individual feel like their opinions are going to be above everybody else's. Because you're talking about, if you've got somebody in power who's like over other people and that's causing issues, the council has to remember the mayor is not above them. The mayor is next to them. They work together. They are separate for a reason. And they don't need to be scared of him. But they do need to do what's right by our community. And refusing to disclose these funds, refusing to hold the administration accountable for repeatedly refusing to do this is wrong. It's just wrong.
Yeah. And we have a chance to make it right. It looks like, the council, in my opinion, they messed up, the 5 people. I wish they would have held fast and told the mayor, no, we need to see these numbers. We'll do whatever's legally appropriate, but we need to see the numbers. But they didn't. But that doesn't mean this fight is over. So we're just adding another layer to the problem, and we need to fix it, like Louise is saying. It does look like the dam needs to come down. We do need to know when this litigation happens in November. Is the government going to be transparent? Is the mayor going to let us see how much this mistake has cost the city because they wouldn't handle it? It's like one mistake, cover it up. Second mistake, cover it up. Third mistake, cover it up. When are we going to stop doing that?
Yeah. And it's not the removal of the dam itself is not even going to cost our community anything, because River Heritage, the nonprofit in Clark County, who applied for and received the permits to remove the dam, they're paying for it.
What? I did not know that.
Yeah, that's the original issue, was they want to remove the dam. They have the permits. They're going to pay to remove the dam. This should not have cost New Albany anything.
So that's more frustrating.
Anything at all.
That's more frustrating to me to hear that. Yes, the dam should come down, in my opinion. This is a problem. This is, in my opinion, part of the problem, besides one person's ego, is the political problem that we have in our country, the division, the name calling, the blaming. I've heard from other people who knew this story was going to happen today saying, listen, the Democrats are very worried because the Republicans are trying to make a big deal out of this. And it's like, well, let's be honest. If this were a
But
Republican
it's a
mayor
big
and you
deal.
were the Democrats, we would be making a big issue of it too, because it's a big deal.
Yeah,
So this is again one of these very important times when we should put political parties aside and do what's best for the people.
exactly.
Of-
Because
And
these divisions, these, you know, these like base level disagreements, all of this suffering is manufactured. None of that is real.
it hurt a 14-year-old. A 14-year-old lost his life because of,
Yes.
in my opinion,
And
stupid political division
yeah,
where we want to ignore our problems instead of fixing them. Government's job is to handle the most terrible of problems that regular businesses and regular people cannot solve. We need government, law, rules. They are supposed to handle the hardest problems. This is a very hard problem, and we need those that have sought to take these roles that are elected by the community to handle this very hard problem. Handle it.
exactly.
Handle it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
hold the mayor accountable.
Hold the mayor accountable.
Hold
So,
him
what should
accountable. That's
people
their
do?
job.
Let's say you're in Southern Indiana or you're in New Albany. I can post the picture, the graphic that you all made that has the
Mhm.
numbers of the 5 people that voted to support this, letting the mayor continue to be not transparent with what is going on. What should we do?
So if you are a New Albany City resident, because this is specifically kind of city level issues, if you're a New Albany City resident, you can call your city councilman. On the back of that graphic that you share, because it's a little double-sided flyer, there
Oh,
are
okay.
the 5 people who voted in favor of passing the budget anyway are listed on there. Of the people who are going to be in districts, so they're only going to apply to certain residents of the city, like depending on where they live, would be Jenny Collier, Adam Dickey, and Chris Fitzgerald. So that's districts 1, 2, and 4. But the other 2 people who voted, Don Unruh and Elaine Murphy, they are at large. So they represent everyone in the city of New Albany. So every single citizen of New Albany has city councilmen who represent them who voted in favor of this. So call them, email them, tell them this is not acceptable and you expect better from them. You expect them to hold the mayor accountable and to step into their own power and do what's right for our community and show up to the city council meeting. Nothing is more powerful
So the
than
meeting
seeing
is
a
this
room full of
Thursday?
people. It is Thursday night at 7 o'clock in the city council chambers. So show up and make your voice
City
heard.
Council chambers, where is that? What
It's in
building is
City
that?
Hall.
City Hall. Okay, so
Yep.
that's like the building across from, like, by the library?
No, that's the old one. It is the new city hall is on Main Street between Pearl and Bank. You have to go down around behind the building. There's a big public lot, and you enter through the basement in the back of the building, which I feel like says a lot about how New Albany's doing things. But that's another issue. But you go in there, you'll go through security, ask them where directions for the council chambers. It's 1 floor up directly above where you entered, and
Okay.
there is public comment sections every time. So you can show up, sign up, and make your individual voice heard and tell your council that you expect better from them and you
What
demand
time
better
did you
from
say
them.
the time? I
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Okay. So that's Thursday, October 16th, in 2 days from now.
Yep.
That if you live in New Albany and you can make that meeting, this would be a good time. Let's put some public pressure on our government leaders to do better. This is a heavy episode. I just want to say my heart goes out to all people that are in elected positions that are trying their best to serve their community.
It's hard work.
And I feel for you when you get pressure. I had pressure when I was a teacher. I had a bad principal for 4 long years. And for 2 of those years, she tried to get me to quit. And I learned how to face a bully then. And I'm not exactly saying Mayor Gahan is a bully. I'm just saying we kind of need to treat it as such to get results, because they're taking the proper channels and asking for the proper things and still not getting them. So
Yeah.
we need to go to the next step of how do you handle things. And the way I handled it was I documented every time I caught her in a lie, which was almost every day. And once I got a full page full, I would go and see the priest, who was the only person that could fire her, the principal, and I would let him know all of the ways in which I caught her in a lie, all of the manipulative things she was doing to get me to quit. And it took 2 years to get him to convince her to back off. Eventually, she was fired for other reasons. It's a long game. It takes a while, but never once did I back under her and do what she wanted, because what she wanted would have hurt my fifth graders. It wouldn't have
Yep.
been best for their education. And
Yep.
so, if she told me to do something and it wouldn't hurt my students in any way, I would do it. If she told me to do something that was to see if I would be under her
Obey.
control,
Yeah.
then I would not do it, and I would
Yeah.
let the priest know. And
Yeah.
thankfully, since I was a good teacher and well liked, that really protected me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think I
Well,
would have been
and
fired.
you are one person, but you had power in that situation, and you stepped into your power. You did the things that you could do within the system to hold her accountable and to
And I
push
wasn't always
back against
perfect
that.
because I
Right.
was so stressed out. I didn't always react 100% in the best way, because I was under such stress of somebody trying to get me to quit when I was a single mom and I was very poor.
Sure.
So,
But you always tried your best.
but I tried my best.
Yeah.
I wasn't perfect, but I held fast and I waited and I waited, and eventually I beat her.
Yeah.
And it can
And the
happen.
city council can do the same thing. They are
Yes.
individual people. They are
Yep.
very intelligent people who can do their
Yep.
own research. So if they have things that the mayor has said or the administration says that they're like, oh, I'm not sure about that, great. Don't vote to move forward anyway. Say, I can't vote for this right now because I need to go do this research. I need to have these answers for myself about, whether what you're telling me is correct. We're not even getting into is it true or false, but is it correct? Because maybe, something the mayor has said is something he believes but doesn't actually understand. That's fine.
Right.
But do your research and step into your own power and do your job. When you run for office, you are applying for a job to represent your constituents.
We're going to do a follow-up
do that
show.
job.
We are going to do a follow-up show when things happen with this, good or bad. I want you to come back on
For
and
sure.
tell the community what is happening. What I wish would happen is I wish the New Albany government would be transparent and would give us all the information. If we said
Right.
something that wasn't correct, it's because we don't know otherwise, because they are saying nothing about this. So,
Yeah.
so we're going to do a follow-up show. Maybe the mayor is going to do better. Maybe after this litigation in November, we're going to see some answers. They're going to take down the dam, which is not going to cost New Albany taxpayers any money. That's
Correct.
amazing. And we're going to do the right thing here and prevent any other bad things from happening. So just be on the lookout for that. I cannot thank you enough for being on this show. Please share it. If you have a group that is New Albany specific, whether it be Facebook or text message or anything, you have a community that's about New Albany, please send this episode to them. It will be a podcast in about an hour. So you can send it as a podcast on Apple or Spotify. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook, Instagram. And then the easiest way is if you go to projectnextindiana.com and you put your email in, you can get this episode sent as an email. It pops up. You get a summary of what it's about, and then you can email it to people. But this show is the best way, in my opinion, right now to quickly get the word out before the Thursday city council meeting. And I think that's why we jumped on it so fast, why I met you. We talked, we said, we set the show up.
Right away. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So please help in getting the word out. Oh, I wanted to give an incentive for people. If you are on Facebook and you go to Project Next on Facebook and you invite your friends, it's up at the top where it says message. There's 3 dots. Click the 3 dots, click invite your friends, select all, invite your friends. And then you tell me, I will shout out your name on the next show. If you get 5 people to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Project Next Movement, and you tell me, I will do a shout out. If you just want to invite your friends and you don't want me to shout out your name, don't tell me and I won't shout it out. But thank you. We are growing, and that is the more that people watch us, the louder our voice is, that we can do things for the people. And that's what Project Next is all about. Hoosier Action is wonderful. Every time I meet somebody from Hoosier Action like you, Cisa, I'm like so impressed. I love you. I adore you. Thank you. This is volunteer. You're not getting paid for this, right?
Correct.
Is it volunteer? Yeah.
I'm doing this because it's important for me as a member of this community to do what I can to help my neighbors stand strong together for what's right for us, for our our tax dollars, and making sure our community has what it needs. And I love being able to work with Hoosier Action in that way. We are an independent, nonpartisan organization, and that's what matters.
You guys get real stuff done.
We
You all
do.
passed you all passed a legislation in Indiana. You helped to pass legislation in Indiana that allowed test strips for drug
Correct.
overdoses to not be illegal anymore.
Correct.
So
That was directly
that
because
will
of the work of,
literally
Tony's Care Not Cuffed chapter. They
Tony
were,
Ostetler. We've had him on the show
he's
before on
such
the
a
Get the
great
Word Out.
guy.
I
Yep.
love
Their
him.
chapter's doing important work.
So Hoosier Action has actually led in Indiana to lives being saved. So I
Yes.
would just like to take a
Multiple
moment to
times.
thank, yeah, I would like a moment to thank every single person that works on Hoosier Action. Hoosier Action you can find on Facebook. Could we go to your website and like sign up?
Yeah, so I know we're on Facebook, I know we're on Instagram. You can go to our website, which is hoosieraction.org, and find out more. We have a resident run news program that's getting started. It's called So Informed. That's going to have a regular newsletter and Substack that's actually, it's a part of us right now. It's going to be kind of its own thing because we are really, really dedicated to making sure that that stays totally neutral. That is going to be fact-based, not opinion-based. And so we've got that kind of in the works. Hoosier Action's got a newsletter. We do public events and education regularly, and we want to get everybody involved. It doesn't matter where you are on this imaginary line of like right versus left or red versus blue.
Oh, I hate that. I hate it so much. It makes me want to throw up.
We just want every voice represented so that we can have the most number of ideas to work together to figure out how we can provide our community together with what we need. Because that's what it's about.
A lot of really good Republicans in Harrison County, and they have been really upset with the Harrison County Republican Party and how it's run. It's pretty much, in my opinion, it's two people that are running the entire government of Harrison County. And so if you tried to get into your Democratic Party and there was gatekeeping and they didn't listen to you or give a crap or give you any role, or your Republican Party in your county, and you live anywhere in Southern Indiana, I really encourage you to start getting involved in Hoosier Action. You guys actually get things passed because you're nonpartisan. You go to anybody that is elected that gives a crap about us and our community, and you help to push legislation that helps us, the people.
Correct.
So I really encourage people to get involved with Hoosier Action. It's I just love the volunteers. I went to a Hoosier Action event when I ran for State House in this last election, and it was a beautiful event. And that's where I figured out the power of Hoosier Action. And it was a bunch of real people coming up on certain issues that impact them that we need to improve on in Indiana. And they gave real life stories about it. And then it was like, here's the bill we're trying to pass that would help with these types of situations that hurt lots of people. So Hoosier Action, fantastic. I hope to keep doing Hoosier Action themed shows with you all. I'm just so thankful. And I'd also like to do live events with Hoosier Action. So let me know, keep me updated when there's something you'd like me to come down. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I'd like to meet you in person. You're awesome.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, thanks for taking time out of your busy day to do this. I know it was sudden. And then we're going to do another show once we have more information out about this. If you have any information, feel free to comment. And then let's just put pressure on the New Albany government, on the mayor's office to be more transparent. Let's clean up this mess. Let's prevent any other bad things from happening. Let's do the right thing. Let's not be partisan. Let's put people first. And who cares? In my opinion, who cares if some Republicans go after the Democrats on this? Most people don't pay attention to politics, so who the crap cares? Do the right thing.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care what your identifier is, but what's happening is wrong. And we all need to stand together in our power, because power is just organized people and organized money. So let's organize our community. Let's all stand together and show our elected officials, specifically the mayor, but also our city council, to back down on their previous commitment. This is not acceptable, and we expect better from you. So do better.
And thank you for the 4 that stood your ground and voted no on this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And just you're not attacking people like they're bad people. I get it. I get why these 5 people voted for it, but you're right. It gave up their power. Yeah. Yeah. And if if you're on the city council and you're wanting to be mayor one day, we want to see that you're going to do the right thing for the people. So I really, really, really encourage, be a strong leader, do what's right, even if you might have political pressure on your side, because there will be another election. This person will not be mayor forever.
Yeah.
So we want somebody that's going to do the right thing.
Yeah, we want you to prove that you're going to stand up for your constituents because that's your job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, my new friend, Cisa, you're amazing.
Thank you
Stay in
so
touch.
much,
You have
Sarah.
my cell phone. Stay in touch.
Absolutely.
And everybody, please share the show. Thank you for watching. And let's just hold our government accountable. Let's make it for we the people, right?
Exactly.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Share, share, share. Thank you.